Okay, it's great to be with you tonight. And yes, I did have a Nokia phone when I was young, as Alex made it obvious a second ago. So great to be here and to share some of the lessons learned in my journey that might seem a bit odd. I do change activities every 2 years, so hence the very long resume. So some of the lessons I want to share. I think the first one is pivot. Will hopefully answer your question, but were learned with a lot of blood, tears, sweat, and everything you can get, and I think a lot of you will recognize themselves into that. And yeah, I forgot to say third newcomers. I'm from France. I'm sure you can hear from my accent. I've been here 15 years, but you know. Some people are better than others with foreign languages. So, oh, yes, here we go. So the first one, pivot, as the question previously was asking. So a few years ago, for 6 years ago maybe, I was working for a very, very wealthy tech entrepreneur from Finland, from all places, who was very nasty as well, and very wealthy. Sometimes it comes together. And what I was doing for him was, on one end, managing his money, and on the other end, starting businesses. So I wasn't sleeping much. And talking about pivot, it still gives me a lot of trauma just thinking about it, because every time he was reading TechCrunch and he would see about the last unicorn, I had to pivot. So, which is why I started so many companies. So I started a cabbage-like company, a lending club-like company. Also HR, maybe you know Zenefits-like company, Homejoy-like company. So as you can see, a lot of pivot in my life in less than 2 years. So, but more seriously, how do I do now when I have to think about pivot? And I hear you with the gut. I try to go with the gut, but also a bit of scientific. I don't know if scientific is really the term. So one of the things I look at is, okay, the 1, 2, 3 problems I'm facing and that I don't seem to be able to get out of is, okay, if I'm throwing more money at it, more research at it, or more customer development at it, am I going to be able to solve the problem? And if the answer is always no, even after thinking hard about it, well, that's a good flag that you need to change what you're doing. And when I need to change what I do, the first thing is, okay, how can I manage to not scrap all the work I've already done? So that's really something I would advise. If you've been in that situation, you know it, but if you, and you might anyway, be in that situation at some point, don't scrap your work, even if you have the next unicorn idea. Leverage what you've done. Also do it as soon as you can, so you don't waste your time, and listen to your clients, so you don't go to that next big idea that might end up being as bad as the previous one. The second thing I learned, and that might seem obvious, and back to Ben's comment, a lot of what we're saying sometimes is just plain wisdom, but I guess nevertheless we still make the mistakes. Selling, oddly enough, when I was an entrepreneur, wasn't the first thing that came to my mind, which seems a bit dumb now when I'm saying that out loud, but it was the case. And a lot of focus was put on product development because we had a massive team already from previous companies. So it was easy to do product development. So we were spending a lot of time in that before even making sure that we have any type of product market fit, or that we could sell the product. And believe it or not, even if in the last few years people are all about MVP, checking product market fit, you still have a lot of organizations that are focusing on products and not focusing on sales. So really go get this logo on your website, get this logo on your pitch deck, because it's not just about the money, even if the money is very important. It's also about making sure that you have some type of ambassadors. So if a VC wants to invest in you, well, they have clients to call to make sure that, okay, you're doing a great job. If you want to have clients, and I know it's always difficult, they want to be able to call your prior clients to make sure your solution makes sense. So even if you're making a small sale, even if it's not the key clients you want, go for it. And I have 1 minute left, so I'll go with something that's very exciting, cash flow. And that's obviously linked to sell. If you sell, you should be able to at least have some top line to manage, but really look at it, especially that we're going, I believe, in a recessionary state in the next 12 months. So fundraising might be more difficult. So you really want to make sure that you have a solid financial backing. And last story I have on cash flow, a company I invested in called the Investors in Panic 2 weeks ago, to say they made a mistake in their forecast, and now they just have 2 months runway, and we had to put some money to make sure they could survive. Trust me, it's the type of situation you don't want to have with your investors or with your board. So manage your cash flow, not sexy, but make sure you do that. So that's the 3 lessons learned: the pivot, the sales fast, and also management of your cash flow. So if you have any questions, happy to take them right now. I think we have 3 questions.
Thank you. Questions?
Oh, thank you.
Hi, Peggy. What kind of businesses do you like to invest into?
The ones that make me a lot of money. Financial services is really my sweet spot. I know that well. Early stage is something I've done a lot, but I also started my career in private equity, actually. So I do have a sweet spot for later stage business that I can help with operational improvement. So, and obviously for the woman CEO in the room, I have a sweet spot for women. So.
So I would like to ask, what are the hot top 3 spots that you would invest? Like, what are the hot 3 markets that you would invest, or you think that they are hot between investors that you're investing right now?
You mean in terms of geography, or you mean in terms of sectors?
In terms of the market, like AI
Sectors.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not sure you want to invest in what's hot. Actually, I like boring stuff. So obviously, everything that's powered by AI makes sense in terms of, do you have use cases that support that? So if I look at financial services, actually, I really like all the risk, regulatory, compliance type of business model. So it's not so much big area like you mentioned, but my specialty is really financial services. So that's what I look at.
So I'm Caroline. I'm a current freelancer helping all the startups running, writing your business plan and do your market research, also kind of a consulting job. So I knew Peggy from a year ago. I just want to, because your expertise is in fintech. So I wanted you to give we have a lot of fintech startup here. Would you give us some suggestion, like what's the direction of fintech development do you see in 2019 here?
Thank you, Carol. And it's not a plant, but it looks like it, but it's not a plant. Well, I think you've heard probably a lot of that comment already, that the deals next year, or 2019 actually, are probably going to be fewer but bigger, just because of the way the industry has been maturing. Personally, in Canada, I'm very bullish with enterprise software. We do that very well. A bit less with B2C. Very difficult to compete with the oligopoly of the banks. So that's the type of thing, first, that I believe as an industry and as a geography for Canada, B2B makes sense, but also, again, fewer deals, bigger deals.
Want to get one more question, please? Because I don't know if that was a plant or not, but let's get another one out. One hand there, maybe.
Thank you. My question is, how are you able to find these investment opportunities that others can't find?
Wow. Hopefully they come and they find you as well, you know, but it's, you know, and that's a very interesting question. Most VCs, they are going to tell you, well, I have a differentiated network and I'm so hot, people are coming to me. One of the things that I've been actually looking actively is to automate that, really to actually use some of the technology I invest in to detect what could be the interesting companies. What's interesting with the industry is that even if we tend to invest in tech, we don't use a lot of tech ourselves. So most VCs, they go to events and they hope that they're going to be sitting, next to the, I don't know, next unicorn, and they're going to invest like that. And I still have a lot of investors who told me they source like that. I think there is a scientific approach that Google, for example, Google Ventures use. A few ventures use that. Georgian does that a little bit in Canada, but otherwise it's actually scaring investor. When I raise money and I tell to my investors I want to use more automated way to source deals, people freak out. So it's not unfortunately very well perceived, oddly enough.